Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. We are now in season 4 with over 1,300 videos that are viewed and heard around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional from Amsterdam in the Netherlands, Mr. Sumit Gupta. Sumit, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashutosh, for having me.
Sumit is a leadership coach and a serial entrepreneur. He's the founder of Deploy Yourself. So, Sumit, today we'll talk about coaching. And if you have a little time, we may switch to a little bit of entrepreneurship. But let me start by asking you, you help leaders who are at a crossroads to do the work of their lives. I picked this up from your LinkedIn page. Help me
Mhm.
understand, what do you mean by this?
Yeah, I think what I mean by crossroads is a sense of dissatisfaction or
Mm-hmm,
something missing, and this could be with success or without success, right? So
mm-hmm,
this could be somebody not able to hit a particular number in revenue or not able to get a promotion, and that is creating a sense of dissatisfaction. But this could also happen the other way around,
mm-hmm,
like somebody very successful, one milestone after another, but still not feeling energized, not like really getting that joy out of what they're doing.
mm-hmm,
So that's how I define as crossroads, where they feel it's a sense of feeling. It's
mm-hmm.
not like something analytical. It's a feeling that you're missing something, or
Okay.
that this is not working anymore.
Hmm. Because, when I think of crossroads, I would imagine one goes through this feeling every day in something or the other, that on some decision tree you are at a crossroads. So, how does one determine when to reach out to Sumit?
I think when people reach out to me, how that has showing up for me is when they know that there is something ahead for them,
Mm-hmm.
and yet at the same time they're not able to make progress.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yes, so a general feeling of dissatisfaction can, yes, happen every day and particular decision point.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking about is like something deeper. It's
Mm-hmm.
something which persists over time,
Mm-hmm.
and then something which even stays when when you are tasting success. Right, when you're hitting a milestone, you're reaching it, and you still feel that something is missing. Right, this is not it, or this can't be it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a deeper feeling that I'm referring to. So when people have that understanding that this is not just like I need ice cream or I need a new milestone,
Mm-hmm.
this is something deeper, and then they can also connect it with a desire,
Very
with a
interesting.
dream that they have,
Sure.
right? So then how do I move from here to that?
Mm. Could you give me an example without any names, just for my viewers and listeners?
Yeah, I will give you a couple of examples here.
Okay.
Yeah, I will give you an example of one person I was working with,
Mm-hmm.
and they had this feeling of something is missing,
Mm-hmm.
even though they liked what they were doing, but they were still not getting the energy out of it. And when we talked deeper, when we explored, what we came up with, that this person had a passion of playing guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and just because they were so busy at work, the
Mm-hmm.
guitar habit was just like it just went off. They didn't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what I encourage this person to do is to just pick up guitar, maybe 30 minutes, 60 minutes every day.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick up the guitar. And what happened is their work performance improved massively,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was just connecting with something which was deeper. So this is a very trivial example. Another example could be like somebody actually leaving their job and starting a company
Mm-hmm.
to make a difference in a particular area, because they
Correct.
realized like this was something which they had wanted to do for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and now it was very evident for them that yes, they have to take that step. So that would be a second
Fascinating,
example.
fascinating, fascinating. And Sumit, how has your background helped you or supported you in your coaching career?
Yeah, so my coaching is very personal. So I derive a lot from my background.
Mm,
And in fact, the reason I can listen so well, or the reason I can relate to people,
mm,
is because I have gone through such phases in my life where I have not felt, not really understood what is happening, or why am
mm,
I like not enjoying the process,
mm,
and then taken some decisions or taken different routes,
mhm,
and then seen something working out or not working out.
mm,
So a lot of this is coming from my own personal experiences. Can I share an example? Can I
Yes, of
share an
course.
incident?
Of course, please do.
Yeah, so I was in Bangalore in 2011. So this
Mm-hmm.
was 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a software engineer. I was a techie, introverted, like the typical person. And then there was this anti-corruption march happening,
Mm-hmm.
and I reached out to the organizers saying that how can I participate, and they replied back that there is no march planned in Bangalore.
Mm-hmm.
There is a march planned in other cities, but do you want to organize a march in Bangalore?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what happened, but I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea of social activism or like even what all would be required. And that was 40 days. It was just 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
So within 40 days, I created a team of volunteers. I raised money. I printed T-shirts, posters, reached out to freedom fighters, reached out to prominent people, reached out to media. So it was, and then after the 40 days, it was a big success. Around 400 people walked 11 kilometers that day.
Amazing.
And that told me, I think it was a big realization
Mm-hmm.
that this is something I never thought I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do this, then what else can I do? Right. So there was this newfound like enthusiasm or ambition to explore and see what else can I do, because I was always living under that assumption that this is not for me. Like, I am an introvert, I am a shy person, I'm good with computers,
Mm-hmm.
but all of this is like beyond me. I can
Correct.
participate, but I cannot organize.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the support of a coach during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that ties the thread to what I'm doing today. I'm helping people actually discover what and how much more that they are
Mm-hmm.
capable of.
Wow. Wow. And your journey from a techie, to use your term, to becoming a well-respected coach from Bangalore to Amsterdam. How has this journey been?
So again, an interesting. It's a long period of 10 to 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one thing which happened is I lost my mother in Bangalore in 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and that shook me in a way that I didn't realize till much later.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had another passion of photography, and somehow photography, like it appealed to me after she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came to Amsterdam from India, and then I started to explore more of photography, and slowly I established myself as a photographer.
Wow. Okay.
So that allowed me to meet a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
whom I have never met, from different cultures, different languages.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in Amsterdam, I was working in a company where I was working with people from 100 different nationalities.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened up my horizons. I think that period of 4 to 5 years allowed me to understand myself, like what is happening, and to really make sense of my mother's passing away, and
Mm-hmm.
then to bring all of these together. So what I do today is like it's very meaningful for me, because I think it was her message that I'm giving forward. As long as she was there, she was my rock, right?
Amazing.
And then that's what I try to do. I try to be a rock for the people that I work with.
Thank you. That's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing it. But a quick question. The photograph that you have behind you, is that one of yours?
Yes, it is one of mine. Yeah.
Wonderful. How beautiful it is. Amazing. Amazing. So, Sumit, my next question to you is that, you have worked with multiple cultures. And since you are from India, one of the questions I would ask you is that, traditionally, coaching was done by a family elder or by someone who, in your organization, who took a liking for you.
Mhm.
What has changed in coaching as a profession that people are now looking for qualified, certified coaches and are willing to pay?
I think coaching is becoming more professional, as you said earlier, right? Earlier it was more mentoring and more coming from a place of giving rather
Mm,
than a transactional and a very clear relationship. It's
mm,
becoming more professional, more standardized going forward.
mm,
And then there are also common standards or common ways appearing or evolving, which it doesn't really matter which culture that you are a part of, right? So a
mm,
coach needs to have that ability to see the cultural influence in their own self as well as the other person, and to stand beyond that if required, and then to go inside the cultural like metaphors or the cultural practices if need to be. But the coach has to be able to separate themselves in and out
Wow.
and be aware of it.
Mm.
And yes, it plays a role. So the culture plays a huge role, but it doesn't limit. I think it only makes it richer, because every time I am coaching somebody from a different culture, I'm amazed, like, or I am left richer. I am left more enriched by a different perspective, by a different way of looking at the world. And then I take that into my life, into the other work that I'm doing with more of my clients. So it's like feeds into the process, right? So it's not a one-way street. I'm learning as much as maybe I'm contributing.
Wonderful. My next question is about coaching the younger leaders who are now coming into the corporate world or as an entrepreneurs. You're probably a senior or an older millennial yourself. Uh, how is coaching millennials and the Gen Z leaders different from people of my generation? People who are in 50s or 60s.
Yeah, I think I'm amazed by how energetic and how much drive today's
Mm.
youngsters have,
Mm.
and how fast they act to make things happen. I think they are growing up in a life with iPads and with iPhones, so they are used to so much. I have a 2-year-old son, and he's like swiping on my phone like anything. And I
Mm.
remember I took my first mobile phone at 21 after getting my first salary. So it's a huge shift.
And just to give you a perspective, I got my first phone when I was 37, when they were launched in India. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry
So
to interrupt you. Yeah.
yes, so the youngsters of today, I think, are growing up in a very different mindset,
Mm.
a very different, a fast-paced world, and it both has its advantages as well as disadvantages, right? So I am totally amazed by seeing that energy, seeing their passion, how fast they can move. But
Mm.
I also see that sometimes they are missing that anchor. Or they are missing, like, how do you channel all of this energy and all of this, like, really drive to succeed or drive to
Mm.
create something
Mm.
in the world. And I think that's where the elders or the elder generation can play a role, is
Okay.
maybe leading by example, maybe not by authority,
Mm.
right? And providing that anchor in terms of values, or in terms
Mm.
of, like, to help them choose one direction rather than be like distracted by everything
Mm.
which comes along the way. Because like another aspect of technology is distraction, and how much it takes away
Mm.
from our mental well-being. So
Fantastic.
just be in control of whatever tools and technology we use.
Wonderful. So now let me move to your other avatar as a serial entrepreneur. Tell me about the work you're doing as an entrepreneur.
So right now I am setting up a school of leadership here
Okay.
in Amsterdam.
Mm.
And the plan is to take this work across organizations across Europe in multiple languages which are spoken here,
Mm.
right? So that's setting up a huge community, a large community of coaches, but then setting up also an organization, a company,
Mm.
which takes care of all of that and takes responsibility of, like, revenues, profit, and everything that comes with running a company,
Mm.
right? And like, my definition of leadership or entrepreneurship is very simple. You envision a future and then you make it happen,
Mm.
right? Because anyways, the future that you are living right now, it is there because of what you have done in the past,
Mm.
right? So we are always, as human beings, we are always creating the future that we are living in.
Mm.
And by corollary, we always have the choice to do something now to
Mm.
create the future that we want to create in the future.
Fascinating.
So that's how I see entrepreneurship.
Mm. And tell me a little bit more about the School of Leadership that you are working on.
So this is something new that I am setting up, and this will take shape over the next period, next few years.
Mm-hmm.
But the intention is to, like, lift up the level of leadership in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar, to give you an analogy, like, if you raise the level of water in a lake or in a river, every boat goes up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I work with people one on one, it's that person's
Correct.
growth.
Mm.
But if I help an organization take their leadership to the next level. It's like the water is going up, so the whole organization's health, well-being, productivity,
Mm.
results are going up. So
Mm.
that's the bigger level of impact, which I cannot do alone. So I
Right.
need to build a team around myself, and
Mm.
then I'm building a school of leadership to
Mm.
take this work forward by building a community, and then by involving more people and much larger organizations than I am working with today.
Mm. But just to continue with the same discussion, what are some of the leadership challenges that you are seeing in the corporate world that you are hoping to be able to raise as you raise the level of the water?
I think multiple, but I think if I were to say one or two, one is to really see people for who they are
Hmm.
rather than focusing on the business, on the projects, on whatever the business is producing,
Hmm.
focusing on the people. So I say, like, instead of seeing your people as a means to produce or to run your business, you
Mm.
see your business, your product, whatever you're doing,
Mm.
as a way to grow your people, right?
Okay.
So the people are not there to make the business successful. The
Mm.
business is there to make the people successful,
Yeah.
because in the end, it's all about people, right? There is
Mm.
no team without people, there is no
Right.
business without people. Everything is people, right? Whether it's a customer, it's a partner, it's an
Mm.
employee, everybody is a person.
Yeah.
And the second thing is to take that analogy forward, is to then to bring more freedom into the workplace.
Mm.
I think making the
Mm.
workplace more democratic. Like, I think we are living in a democratic society much more than we were living 50 years ago,
Mm.
as a world, as a global. But our organizations are still very hierarchical, very top down. So we need to make some innovation there, where we involve people, right? It's much more fluid.
Mm.
There might still be an hierarchy, but it's much more fluid, where people are running their own little ships.
Mm.
They have their, just like in a society, we have laws to prevent something very serious.
Mm.
But other than that, you are free to start your own business. You can free to set a goal for 1 million or 10 million or 100 million.
Mm.
Similarly, in the organization, there needs to be that level of flexibility and freedom,
Mm.
and this will take away a lot of the stress, a lot of the negativities of today's corporates.
Mm.
And also, when this can be channeled well, because this requires a different kind of leadership,
Sure.
when this can be channeled well, it can produce amazing results, like really exponential results.
I agree with you. Sumit, you're also the founder of Deploy Yourself. What is this organization that you founded?
So this is exactly the school of
Oh,
leadership
this is School
which
of
I was
Leadership.
talking about. This is
Okay.
the school of leadership,
Okay.
which will evolve in the next few years.
Wonderful. So I have time for two more questions. My next question is that what would you say are three key milestones in your life or your career?
Hmm. Yeah. So I've already talked about two of them, right?
Hmm.
So the first one was when I organized that anti-corruption march. And
Corruption mark.
what I realized, the lesson from that, is that like, if you say yes to something, or if you really commit to something,
Mm.
the how will take care of itself.
Hmm.
Normally we stop ourselves from committing to something bigger because we do
Hmm.
not know how to make it happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to do so. So we can actually commit if it
Yeah.
matters to us, and then the how will take care of itself. So that's the lesson which I took away from that.
Yeah.
The second was, again, as I said, my mother's passing away, and I think something which almost everybody faces setbacks or loss in their
Mm.
life. And the second key lesson from this is, like, how do you see it as a gift? How do you
Mm.
see that this happened to make you stronger? This
Mm.
happened, and it took me a long time to realize this.
Mm.
But if you ask this question, right, with every setback, with every failure, with every loss,
Mm.
how is this playing a role in the next phase of my life?
Right.
What can I learn? So that's the second incident and the second
Hmm. Hmm.
key lesson. And I think the third one is, which I'm discovering now, and also with my experience with photography, is like, whichever way you see the world
Mm.
is not the reality. It's the way you see the world,
Very well
right?
said.
And the more you meet other people, you see that other people see the world differently. So that leaves me very humble. That leaves me, and like, so I say that never say never.
Mm.
And always be flexible. So
Wonderful.
no matter how strongly I believe in a particular idea, a
Hmm.
thought, or an opinion, I am always willing to look the other way. I'm willing to look like consider my adversary's point of view,
Mm.
because who knows, right? Maybe my vision is like is just my vision, and it's
Mm.
not like the truth or the fact like I think it is. So
Mm.
that's I think every day I get to see this. If
Mm.
I speak to somebody and they give me a perspective which is different from my mind, and it's like
Mm.
an aha moment. So never say never, and always be flexible is one of my mantras in life.
Mm. Fascinating. And my last question to you, and this is for the many, many young people who will be listening to our conversation. What would your advice be to a young individual starting off on her or his journey, either in the corporate world or as an entrepreneur?
I think the first advice would be to follow your passion, like to
Hmm.
really listen to your heart,
Yeah,
see what is coming up,
yeah,
and then do something around it, right? So
yeah.
if you have a passion for painting, don't say I'm a bad painter, or I don't have
Mm.
no time. Find time to explore that, and if you explore you don't like it, then you can always leave it. But to next as a young person, I think try as many things as you can.
Mm.
At the same time, learn to say no, so that you have time
Mm.
for those things which really matter.
Mm.
So not be distracted every now and then, and these two might like seem contradictory,
Mm.
but I think these, when you find a way to really listen to
Mm.
what wants to like come through you, and
Mm.
what really is demanding your attention or your time, and then do that, and then say no to everything else which and then everything else will fall aside. So that would be my two advices or two
Fantastic.
suggestions.
Fantastic. Sumit, on that note, thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for all the thoughts you have shared with us. Starting with coaching, starting talking about your school of leadership, deploy yourself. I loved your comments about uh, commit and how will take care of itself. I think that is a very powerful statement. Never say never again, something which people talk about but don't really follow. And your last two pieces of advice, which is follow your passion and learn how to say no. I think I've also always said that most of us don't know how to say no. And the moment we acquire the power of saying no, we suddenly will be very different people. Thank you again for speaking
Yes.
to me and good luck to you.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.